Hello and welcome back to my phone diary. I guess we're gonna jump right into it. McLaren. First of all, I'm a little bit concerned with our current form. The last couple of Grand Prix were not great for us. And I don't know if it's McLaren going backwards or if other teams are catching up, but I don't like it. And I would love to go back to winning everything again. I know it obviously doesn't really matter anymore because we're constructor champions, but yeah, I still want my drivers to win everything. So I would love for that to happen again. So yeah, we're constructor champions for a second time in a row. Honestly, it was a little underwhelming this year, especially compared to last year where it was really close with Ferrari and went to the last race of the year. And also we weren't looking like we were gonna be champions last year. So let's just say it was a lot more exciting then than it is now for that reason. And also because this race was not a win for us, like a race win. So also a bit underwhelming, but more prominently, of course, because how can we not? We have some drama with McLaren. Who would have thought? And it's again about the team orders and papaya rules. And I have two things to say about it. Number one, if this was the other way around and Oscar pulled that move on Lando, he would be praised endlessly. People will be calling him a killer, saying that he has a championship mentality. And all I'm asking is to have that same attitude towards Lando. And number two, you can disagree with the concept of team orders, but I think the main complaint people have about the team orders with McLaren is the lack of consistency. But if we actually look at it, they are being pretty consistent because in both instances, Hungary 2024 and Monza 2025, McLaren promised the lead driver that they will stay ahead of their teammate even after the pitting sequence, and in both instances, it was McLaren's fault that they weren't, and therefore, it is their responsibility to intervene and call team orders. And about papaya rules, which I hate that term, but I have to set this straight. Papaya rules, I think some people have it wrong in their mind. It means that they are free to race as long as they don't crash into each other. And in my book, contact is not crashing. Also, Lando was the one to come out with actual damage to his car after that contact. So I really don't think papaya rules applies here about not crashing into your teammate, which is a reasonable ask to have of your drivers, but it is a little bit too far, I agree. And especially calling it papaya rules, it's awful. But to be honest, Canada was more a break of papaya rules. And then everything was okay because Oscar was the one who benefited from it. So no one cared, right? So was the move aggressive today? Yes. But it wasn't malicious and it wasn't McLaren's fault or anything McLaren could have controlled. It was, frankly, great driving from Lando, who, by the way, was not feeling well the entire weekend. So even more impressive if you ask me. So Lando was entitled to make that move. And you know what? Oscar was entitled to being frustrated. I would be mad too. He qualified ahead of Lando. He was going to increase the gap in the Drivers' Championship to him, get a podium that was also going to win McLaren the Constructor Championship, and instead he finished P4 behind his championship rival, and with a fucking slow pit stop, which we'll get to later. So yeah, I would be upset as well. I am upset. I hate seeing Oscar like this. But saying that he deserves better than McLaren and McLaren don't deserve him is frankly delusional. Oscar had just won the Constructors' Championship with McLaren for the second time in a row and is currently leading the Drivers' Championship in his only third year in the sport. He's literally one of the luckiest drivers in the world, especially considering the hellhole that is an alternative reality where he signed with Alpine. So yeah, he deserves McLaren, who gave him a race-winning and championship-winning car and put him in the position that he's currently in. And McLaren deserve him because we already know it is so important to have two great performing drivers in your team to win that constructor championship and have this success. So it goes both ways. There are better and worse weekends for Lando as well, for the team as a whole. And Oscar's been having a hard time lately. But that's just what racing is. And honestly, I'm sick and tired of this being a discussion every single weekend. So once again, you can oppose the idea of team orders in the sport at large, but McLaren are being consistent with when they deploy them. And about papaya rules, again, it is a bit over the top, but let's not forget that Mercedes, with Nico and Lewis, did not have papaya rules, but they did say that if they crash to each other anymore, they're going to pay for that from their own money, which is an incentive to not crashing. So again, it is a reasonable ask to race cleanly and fair and not crash into your teammate, which again is not what happened today, but also definitely might be a little too much because racing just gets dirty sometimes. And about the pit stops, I really don't know what's going on, because when Lando came into the pits, I was nervous as fuck, but then it went smoothly and I thought I could breathe again. But then Oscar came into the pits. What the hell? It's not funny anymore because it's every fucking race. It's every fucking race, and I really don't understand. Some of the commentators said, I think during the race, that Lando has the slowest pit stops out of everyone this season. What is going on? Is it the equipment that is faulty? Because I really don't understand. The people obviously are capable of doing fast pit stops. We've seen it. They obviously hold the world record for the fastest pit stop ever, and this season's first fastest pit stop as well. So they're clearly capable of doing it. And yes, human error, they can't do it every time. They're not perfect. But every single weekend, that is kind of weird. So all I can think about is an equipment problem. And in that case, how are you not fixing it? I get that there's a cost cap, but this is ruining races for you. I think we can and should spend some money on this if there is a need to, because honestly, that is so more frustrating to me to have a bad pit stop than your teammate having contact with you, overtaking you on lap 1. So yeah, it's pretty crazy that we just won a Constructors' Championship for the second time in a row by a huge margin, 6 races before the season ends, and I'm upset. It's a good thing that I've been a Mercedes fan this entire time, because we won. So yeah, we won. Woo! Mercedes, George Russell, Kimi Antonelli. Woo! We don't have dramas. We're just winning races for no apparent reason, which is kind of concerning that literally no one knows why they were this fast this weekend, including Mercedes themselves and the drivers. Everyone involved. No one knows. Okay, I look ridiculous in this hat. Let's switch it back to the other one. Whew, much better. Okay, so yeah, Mercedes, for some reason, were fast this weekend, which is very weird because normally they're good in cool conditions, and Singapore is the polar opposite of that. So it's literally a mystery for everyone. But George got pole and won the race. And Kimi qualified P4 and finished P5. He was really fast this weekend. And he's definitely having a better time than he did at the European leg of the season. So that's nice to see. They're both, however, don't have contracts for next year yet. But I do think that they have it. They're just waiting to announce it. So yeah, we'll just wait till that happens. And yeah, George is sneakily having the best season of his life. So that's really good for him. He's seriously like a championship contender for next year, I think, if Mercedes figure their shit out. Then with Max, who still have Singapore as the only race on the calendar that he has not won. He qualified P2 and finished P2. But even though he didn't win, it is pretty concerning that he's P2, just because Singapore has never been a great circuit for him, but also Red Bull has seemed to figured out the high downforce setup that they've been struggling with the entire year. So that's not good news. It's a bit worrying, to be honest. I mean, again, not that it matters to the Constructors' Championship, but I still want Lando and Oscar to win everything. So I don't like where this is going. Anyways, he didn't have a good time during the race. Let me just tell you that. He was complaining about downshifts and saying that it's really hard to drive and stuff like that. But he managed to defend from Lando, who was 1 second away and is in his DRS for a very long time. Granted, Singapore is very hard to overtake in. Then we have Lando in P3 and Oscar in P4, which we've talked in length about, and Kimi in P5 again. Then we have Charles in P6. He also qualified he qualified P7, but had a great start. I think everyone on the outside had a really good start. So George, Lando, Charles, Oscar, kinda. I mean, obviously he got done by Lando, but he remained in P4, while Kimi, who was on the inside, got dropped to P6, and Lewis was also dropped, I think, to P8 or P7 maybe even. So the inside line was not great to start on, and Max also, he was on softs and still couldn't do anything to George, to put it that way. So the inside line was tricky, I guess. The track, it rained an hour before the race started, so it wasn't at its best conditions. But yeah, the Ferraris qualified Lewis P6, Charles P7, and Charles finished P6. And Lewis finished P8 after finishing on the road in P7, but then having a 5-second penalty added to his time for track limits, I believe. He also had like a brake issue at the end of the race, so that's why he had to go off track. So yeah, not a great performance from Ferrari either. And then Fernando Alonso somehow snuck into P7. He qualified P10 and then had a pretty good race. I mean, he also had a very slow stop, but he managed to recover from it and climb all the way up to, well, P8 on the road, P7 after Lewis's penalty. Then we have Ali, who qualified P9 and finished P9. And then Carlos Sainz, who technically qualified let's see. Oh, you can't even see it. I think he qualified P13 or P14, but then both Williams have been disqualified for like breaching the technical regulations. So they started from the back of the pack, and he, I really don't know how, climbed all the way up to P10 to get a point for Williams. GOAT. Honestly, it is kind of upsetting knowing that he was able to make so much ground, and to think where he could have ended up if he did start from P13 or P14 where he was supposed to. And Alex also started from the pit lane and finished P14, so again, a lot of places made up. So yeah, I feel like there was maybe more points to get from the Williams today, but whatever, man. That's life, I guess. Then we have Isaac, qualified P8 and unfortunately had an engine problem, and he finished just outside the point in P11. Carlos overtook him in the last stages of the race, but he truly gave it all, and good for him. I do think he's gonna get promoted to Red Bull next year. Also, by the way, there's been talks about Arvid Lindblad already having a contract with Racing Bulls for next year that they're just waiting to announce, so maybe that's a thing. And also Alex Dunn, who is or was up until this weekend a McLaren junior who's currently running in F2, has ended his contract with McLaren. I mean, it was mutual. They ended it effective immediately, which makes it seem like he has a contract with next year also. And I really fear that it is with Alpine, because, well, that would just suck. I mean, it's the reverse Oscar Piastri. So yeah, nothing's confirmed yet, just speculations, but we'll keep an eye on that. And yeah, nothing really crazy or interesting happened for the rest of the race. I mean, there was some point where the leaders were catching up a battle of the back markers that they had to clear and kind of break that fight, but nothing really happened there. So yeah, I don't know. I'm supposed to be elated, but I am just pissed off, to be honest. And even more reason to be pissed off. Lewis Hamilton got the fastest lap of the race, breaking the track record of Danny Ricciardo from last year. Danny. I remember you, Danny. And your record lap time in Singapore last year. Anyways, that's pretty much it. Yeah. And I'll see you next time in 2 weeks for the Austin Grand Prix. And until then, enjoy these memes. Bye.